What's going on, you guys? Welcome to the Ready to See podcast. This is your host, Cristopher Zamora. Welcome to the show. So today, guys, I want to speak to you about this video game. Well, it's an actual series. The first one came out, I think, around 2019, I believe so. I'm not really sure the actual year it came out, but it just came out. It is called A Plague Tale Innocence and A Plague Tale Requiem. I want to speak to you about these video games, guys. They're just very good games that takes place in around the 13th century, I believe, or 14th century, when still, like, I think bullets still weren't made back then. Still, not yet. But this whole series, it takes place in during the plague era, the bubonic plague. If you guys know about that, you might have learned about it in history class about the bubonic plague. I just do not know the exact dates that it happened, but it happened. It's like almost like COVID in a way, but worse. I'm talking about the plague that happened on A Plague Tale Innocence and Requiem. It's about these rats. They just coming out of nowhere, and they just start eating people everywhere. And the reason being this is happening is because of a little boy. His name is Hugo. Hugo has had this macula thing. That's what they call it. It's like a thing that has been passed generations to generations, but it so happened to happen to him. He was the one that was chosen, and so his sister Amicia and him, they're just trying to survive this world. This world is not nice to them, and I think Hugo, I think, is probably around 9 or 10 years old. They're young kids, and they lost everything in the very beginning of the video game. Like, once you play the first 30 minutes, they lost their whole kingdom because of this plague. Well, it first started because their father did get killed by some guy that was looking for Hugo, and now they were on the way to get out of this place. Nobody knew why they were after him, but the reason being is because whoever gets a hold of him will now be able to control him. They will be able to control his power that he has over the rats. Like I said, these rats, they eat people. Like, it's so crazy just to see, like, these kids go through this world and just try to survive. In the very first video game, they had a hard time just trying to find somewhere to eat or a place that they can sleep without people going after them. It's so crazy because they're little kids, man. They're young kids. They're not even my age, and they're trying to survive this world. And it's just so crazy, the things that they see. They see dead bodies everywhere, and even animals as well. They see animals get hurt, and it's really insane, man. It's just sad as well. I want to talk to you about, well, just what happens right at the ending of A Plague Tale Requiem. If you guys have not played those video games, I would recommend you to go play them, guys. I do recommend you to go play them, because I will be going over spoilers on those games. Probably I'm just gonna pick and choose like some certain areas to talk about. I'm not gonna talk to you about like everything that happened on this scene, everything that happened in that scene. Yeah, I'm not gonna do all of that. Just like some certain main scenes that happen throughout these video games. In the first video game, they met this other kid named Lucas. He's like a alchemist, or like a doctor in the works. They're about their age, and supposedly he actually helps Hugo control his macula. the disease that he's carrying. And so they had to go through these type of missions to find a certain thing so they can control the macula. But little by little, the macula actually gets worse every single day. It's hard for Hugo to actually control the macula. At the ending around the second game, it took over him. The macula became him, and the macula was the thing that was about to destroy everything around them. I gotta tell you that Hugo did not make it. He did not make it out alive. I was a bit surprised, man. I thought we were at least gonna get at least 2 more games from this series, but it turns out they just wanted to tell a good story that wasn't gonna milk itself. They weren't trying to make it like I'm not trying to say anything bad about the series, but almost like Paranormal Activity. Like, you know what's gonna happen with these characters, but they're already milking this franchise and they're still making more movies. That's what they did not chose to do with this series. They actually ended it with the second one. Like, I don't think there's gonna be another game from this, or maybe they will actually might do another set of characters, but it probably might be the same thing, or it could be in a different time period. But the audience already knows what the macula is, but the characters don't. So yeah, I don't think they're not gonna do that. But it was really sad just seeing Hugo go. The kid didn't want to hurt anybody, but just the macula, like, it was inside of him, and since that thing was inside of him, the rats follow him as well. Like, they're just attracted to the macula. And so everywhere they went, the rats followed, and the rats killed all those people that was around them. But I gotta say, the second game, around the middle of the video game, man, I was having a hard time beating this video game. It was because certain levels, they were very difficult. There were like so many guards to try to sneak around them and also try to kill them. Damn, man, I died so many times in this video game. It's just insane. But the story, though, the story was pretty unique. I do prefer the first game more than the second one. But like, the ending, man, the ending was super sad. Throughout this whole time, Amicia, the older sister of Hugo, he tried to protect him at all times from everything that has happened to them. And so has Lucas, but mostly Amicia. She was his protector the whole time, the whole journey. In the second video game, they were going to a place where they were trying to find this other set of characters. I think his name is Barillis. I'm not really sure, but there was another kid just like Hugo around his age. He also had the macula in him, and it was years before they were actually born. It was another plague that took place, and the crazy part is, man, the same fate happened to Hugo as well. They could not control this macula thing, which was sad, man, because Amicia, she tried her hardest. She tried her hardest to defeat this evil thing. He tried to keep Hugo safe, but it just took over him. And also, like, there were people after him as well, like the Count and Countess. Damn, man, it was just so crazy. The Count was trying to kill Amicia. Like, there was this mission where she actually broke her shoulder. It's just insane, and she was just like that the whole time. She was like holding it. She was trying to run away from the Count, and she was trying to go back to her brother. She's trying to make it back to her brother and Lucas, and also her mother. Her mother, well, their mother, I mean, it seemed like she did die in the first game, but it turns out she was alive the whole time. She made it out alive from where they were in the beginning of the story. It's just sad because now in the second video game, Amicia got to witness them killed their mother. Yeah, it's crazy. Around this time, I think Amicia was around 15, I believe, and Hugo, he also got to witness this as well. Well, he was held captive, but then he woke up and just walked at the courtyard, and then he saw his mother died. He didn't see her die, he just saw her dead body there. It was sad, and that's what made Hugo angry. That's what made him furious with the Count and Countess. That's when all the rats came in out of nowhere, and they just started eating people, and also the Countess, she died right then and there. The Count wanted revenge against Hugo, and so the thing is, they had to escape this island that they were in. By the way, this island, that's where they found out that there was another kid, just like Hugo, that had the same issues, the same macula effect issues. And there was also a protector, just like Amicia as well. It was so sad just seeing Hugo heartbroken. Like after he witnessed that and they got out of that situation, they were trying to escape, right? Hugo wasn't saying a word at all. Like he was shocked to the core. He was silent. He wasn't saying much. Amicia was sad as well, but she felt like she had to be strong for Hugo, and so they had to get out of there as fast as they could. They were able to do it, but the first thing they had to do was to save a friend that they met. His name is Arnold. Arnold actually did help them on the way to the island. At first, Amicia and Arnold did not get along very well. He actually left her a mark on her left side of her head, so that could remind her to not mess with him, or it's just something that will stay with her forever. That thing never really did heal. It was like a scar that stayed with her at all times. But now they were friends a few chapters later, because Arnold did help them get out of the island. He helped them get in the island, and he helped them get out of the island as well. Sophia was a lady that Arnold knew, and Sophia was actually the person that helped them get through the cave so they can actually find out who was this other boy that had the same type of disease as Hugo, the macula. She actually helped them get through all of that stuff. And now once they escaped, the Count actually was able to catch them. He was able to catch them on their boat. And now Hugo was taken away from Amicia once again. And this time, the mother wasn't there. And well, they did have Arnold for just a few more chapters, and Sophia was there as well. Once they made it back to some island, I believe, well, Arnold was able to fight the Count as much as he could. And the thing is, once he killed like the last guard, that's when the Count was able to kill Arnold. And the crazy part is, now that Arnold was dead, it was between the Count and Amicia. But there really wasn't an actual fight. Arnold actually took the helmet off from the Count, and that's when Amicia was able to use her slingshot, the thing that she uses to kill people. Like she had a rock and she threw it as hard as she could to him, and that's how he died. The Count was already dead, and it was time for them to find Hugo. Hugo wasn't there in that area that they were fighting on. Yeah. And now they had to find him and try to get him to safety. Arnold was already dead. It was a sad moment. I think it was way sadder to see the early friend that they met in the very first game. He did not make it out alive, and he was trying to protect them as much as he could. Yeah, he did not make it out alive. His name was Roderick. That was their friend that actually did not make it out alive in that video game. I felt really sad, man. I almost started to cry because we actually did get to see him like visit the place that he grew up, and now it was just in ruins because of the plague. And now he was just trying to protect Amicia and Hugo at all times, but he didn't make it out alive. But Arnold, yeah, man, it was sad to see him go as well. Sophia, on the other hand, she did made it out alive. Now Hugo, he was alone again, and they had to find him. Amicia, Lucas, and Sophia, they made their way to where the whole thing was happening, like where the plague started. Since Hugo did find out that his mother did die, he just lost all control, and that's when like all the rats, they were coming everywhere. Like there were so many of them. That's like the most I have ever seen in the video game. So they made their way through the kingdom that Hugo was in. And so Lucas and Amicia, they were getting close and close. They were able to make it now. And so there were so many rats there, man. It's just so crazy. I don't think I will be able to survive that. And by the way, around this time, they were like around 15 to 13 years old. And they're just little kids just trying to save their family, which is Hugo. And like the last bit of the game was when Amicia, she went inside where Hugo was. She tried to save him, and she had to pass like some tests. At first I did not get it, but eventually I did. Like throughout the whole 2 games, she was trying to save Hugo, right? She was trying to protect him at all costs. But the thing is, she had to let him go. That was the thing that Hugo was trying to tell her. She had to let him go, which was sad, man. It was sad seeing Hugo like this, and also Amicia. Ever since they lost their father, Amicia has always been there for her brother. She always tried to save him. But the thing is, she cannot save them from the macula. Since the macula took over Hugo, he became the macula. And now, like, it showed like an example when once Amicia and Hugo were together, like they were walking like in a village, like people were dying because of Hugo. Like if they were around him, they were just dying and they could not survive. And so the thing is, Hugo did told Amicia, you had to let me go. It was sad, man. It was sad to see Hugo go like that. And the last bit of the game, Amicia had to kill her brother. Yeah, man. It's just really sad. She got her slingshot, like she always does. And she got a rock and threw it to Hugo's face. There was rats surrounded, and that was like basically the ending of the video game. Plus there was an alternate ending as well. It was like a 1 year later thing when Amicia, she had her hair cut, and now Sophia and her, they were just walking to the horses. the land seemed beautiful and everything seemed like it was at peace. Amicia did mention to Sophia that Lucas was just exploring somewhere else. And we also got to see that Amicia got to visit Hugo where he was staying at. Now he was in a tombstone and she went to go see him. It was a beautiful mountain view that they buried Hugo, and she told him that she was sorry and she loves him. It's just hard seeing a sibling go like that away. One moment they're there and the other they're not there. Amicia did try to do her best to protect him, but she couldn't because the macula was way too strong. And once the credits finish, once you hold down the B or O button, the last scene is you get to see a baby, and this baby now had like a macula on it. He had like the macula on him or her. Yeah. So the thing is, the macula continues. It doesn't care what it does. It doesn't care who has it. It just cares for destruction, for chaos. It doesn't really tell you how long it has been since the other plague happened, the one with Hugo and Amicia. And that's how they actually ended the video game. There was another baby who was born, and it had the macula in him or her. Yeah, damn. So crazy, man. Like I said, I do not believe that they're going to make a third video game with Amicia, since her brother did die. I don't know. I really don't know how they're going to continue this series, or if they're actually going to make something else. Yeah, I'm just a bit surprised that Hugo did not make it. Like, this death scene with Hugo on a Plague Tale Requiem, I believe the story was told better than The Last of Us Part 2. Because on that video game, Joel did not make it out alive like in the first hour of the video game. Like, they just killed him just like that, and that was basically the whole storyline for that video game. Ellie was trying to get revenge back, but she didn't kill the person that was responsible for his death. But for this one, you kind of sense that Hugo wasn't going to make it in a way. And the craziest part is, he did not make it by the ending because the macula was way too strong for him and it just took over him. That's why I believe the storyline for A Plague Tale Requiem was told better than The Last of Us Part 2. Yeah, guys. Yeah, that's all I can really tell you about A Plague Tale. It's a good series, and since you're listening to this podcast, hopefully you do get to play these video games, or maybe just talk about it with your friends. And well, if you haven't played the video games, I just told you most of the whole story. What do you think about this? What you think is a good story? And one last thing I want to talk to you about, it's just about my injury. I told y'all that I suffered like an injury when I went to the gym. Like, it first started with my shoulder, right? When I was lifting, and I was doing hammer curls, and then like my shoulder, I felt like some pain, but then it went on my neck. I feel like I'm better now. I feel like now I'm way better, and I actually have been going to the gym lately. To be honest, I haven't really been going really hard on it. Like, I've been going easy on it. I haven't really been going too hard. Maybe I'll give myself one more week, and then I can start lifting normally. Like, first I started with legs. Today, I actually worked on my back. So yeah, man, that's all I have been really doing. Just going to the gym and Just trying to stay consistent with it. Because last week I told my viewers from last week's episode that I suffered an injury, and I was going to let you know on this one how I'm doing. And yeah, guys, that is it. That is it for this podcast. Hey, thank you so much for listening. If you guys did enjoy this podcast, make sure to actually subscribe to it on wherever it is you're listening. If you're listening to it on Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, make sure to subscribe. And also tell a friend or a neighbor that actually likes listening to horror stuff. Maybe they will enjoy this podcast as much as you do listening to it. Anyways, guys, that is it for this podcast. Again, thank you so much for listening. And if you did made it this far, subscribe to the channel. As always, take care and live to the fullest. Bye.